This is Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate, the podcast where we cover home buying, home selling, home improvement tips and ideas, market trends and developments, and investing in real estate. If you own real estate in the Chattanooga, Tennessee area, or want to own real estate here, then you're in the right place. Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate is hosted by Blake Watson, a real estate agent and investor in Tennessee and Georgia.
Welcome to Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate. I'm Blake Watson, a licensed agent in Tennessee and Georgia and brokered by Epique Realty. Today, we're going to talk about how to buy the right home at the best price and terms. Now, many of these steps are covered in my book, The Complete Guide to Buying a Home. I'll tell you how you can get your free copy in just a few minutes. But first, let's talk about, in my role as a realtor, what would we talk about if we were to sit down together and talk about buying a home? Well, the first thing I would probably talk to you about is the future home requirements and your wish list. Not only the necessities that you may have for a growing family or for pets or whatever it may be, you may have a wish list, things that you would like to see. So let's just go through this as though I'm sitting right with you and we are just talking with each other about what you are looking for in your new home. I'm going to ask you to describe your dream home. Where do you want to live? What neighborhood? What type of terrain? Do you want hilly terrain? Do you want to live on top of a mountain or ridge where you have a view? Do you want to live in the valley? Do you want to live near water? Do you want to be close to the lake or the river? These are the kind of things we're going to talk about. Do you want to live in a subdivision? Do you want to live in a subdivision that has very level streets that you can easily walk around or walk your dog? Or do you want to live in a hilly subdivision that may be more challenging for your daily walk? So let's talk about where you want to live and the type of home. Are you looking for a single-family house, a detached house where you have a yard of your own? Do you want a townhome or condominium where you live close to your neighbors and there's really no yard of any significance to worry about? Do you want a yard? Do you not want a yard? If you do want a yard, does it need to be fenced? Do you want a beautiful front lawn that you can mow or maybe have a lot of trees and wooded area? These are the things you need to think about and we'll discuss. Is a two-story home good for you, or do you need one level, or you just desire one level where you don't have to ever go upstairs? How many bedrooms and how many bathrooms? That's a pretty simple one. How about parking? How many cars do you need to park? Do you need a garage where you actually pull into an enclosed area, or are you okay parking under carport? And what about when people come over to visit? Do you need extra parking spaces? How about the school district? Which schools are important to you? If you have kids in school, do you need to keep them in that same school district? If you own a home, are you going to need to sell the house you're in currently so that you can buy the next house? Or are you going to rent it out and keep your current home so that you have a rental property? And let's talk about the 11-step home buying process. Step number 1 would be hire an agent, a professional real estate agent that'll guide you from start to finish. Of course, I'm a professional full-time real estate agent. And if you're looking to buy a house, here's a little warning that you may not be aware of. If you go directly to the listing agent, their name and their phone number is on the sign in the front yard. If you contact them directly, just be aware that they represent the seller and they're obligated to negotiate for the seller and not necessarily in your best interest. And by the way, I'd like to apply for the job of assisting you with your home purchased, so we can talk more about that in just a minute. Now, step number 2 is meet a lender. Again, if you don't have a lender, I can recommend several great lenders. You're going to meet with the lender to determine your best loan program that has a competitive interest rate and low monthly payments. You're going to discover your price range with that lender, and you'll also know what your estimated cash is needed to buy. And the lender can discuss all those options with you, including the opportunity to have very minimal cash on hand at closing with some down payment assistance programs and some low down payment loans as well. Your lender will also be able to provide you a pre-approval letter so you can start making offers on homes. Not just a pre-qualification letter, but a pre-approval letter that your lender will provide to you that indicates that you have already taken significant steps towards getting qualified for this home loan. That will assure sellers that you are financially prepared to purchase their home if you make that offer. Step 3. Now, this one's a fun one. You get to search for properties. Of course, you may have already gone online to Realtor.com or Zillow.com, one of these online portals and websites. You can go on my website, realestatebyblake.com, and search for properties that way. You'll also want to look at the listings that your agent sends you that come straight from the MLS. And your agent may be able to provide you with some off-market properties that are not on the MLS or are not yet on the MLS. Agents talk with each other. We talk with others in our brokerage and talk with other agents around town. So we are aware, because this is our business, we are aware of properties that may be available that are not yet on the MLS that may be coming available. I personally maintain a list of fixer-uppers and properties that may not be on the MLS, may not be widely advertised, but they're available to investors or someone who wants to live in the house and work on it. During the search, you'll preview homes online or drive by. You'll talk with your agent about the homes you like best, and your agent will set up what we call a showing, which is a tour of the inside of the property and the houses that you are really interested in seeing. And during that search, you will then select your favorite home to pursue. Then you'll write an offer. That's step 4. Your agent will be talking with you and be ready to help you make an offer on your purchase. With your agent, you'll be able to review comparable home sales, set a strategy based on the market conditions, the trends, and the probability of your offer being accepted. You'll present your offer price and terms to the seller in a written contract. And you'll include that pre-approval lender letter and also your proof of earnest money. Step 5 is when the negotiation begins. Your agent will present your offer to the listing agent, and the seller and your agent will emphasize the best features of your offer, or perhaps demonstrate the flexibility you may have to be able to purchase on the seller's timetable, or be able to offer all cash or a significant earnest money deposit. This is the beginning of the process of negotiating with the seller. You should be prepared for multiple rounds of negotiation to achieve your goal and receive assistance and advice from your agent throughout the entire process. Once you have a properly negotiated contract, both parties have agreed, you will ratify and sign that purchase contract. That house is under contract. You'll receive and review the seller disclosures and note any additional investigations that are necessary. You'll notify your lender, the title company, and any vendors that may be involved, like moving companies and that sort of thing. And then step 7 is the home inspection. Your agent can certainly help set up that home inspection. That's what I do on a regular basis. Your inspector will get there and spend probably a couple of hours. And if you arrive toward the end of the inspection, then that inspector can share their findings with you. At that time, it's good to be curious and ask questions. Now, you may not have the written report. You probably won't get the written report until later that evening or perhaps the next day. But when you are there in person with your inspector, he or she is able to show you what concerns they may have that are significant. Then you're going to receive a full written inspection report probably later that evening or the next day. Read through that. Ask the seller to make any repairs that you feel are necessary. This is also part of your negotiation process. You'll negotiate inspection resolution with your agent's help and advice. And that gets us to step 8. Once you've resolved any inspection concerns or repairs that may be needed, then you're going to have the home appraisal. So the appraiser is going to be hired by your lender, a third-party, unbiased appraiser that will come and verify the value of your home. They validate the accuracy of the home price that you are asking for the loan for, and then you will receive a copy of that appraisal. It will take several days to receive your written appraisal after the appraiser has actually visited the property. Step number 9 is due diligence, and this is what's going on really throughout the entire process. Once you have a signed contract, you are in your due diligence period. That's where that home inspection and that's where the appraisal happens. And you'll also review all disclosures from the home sellers and also any reports. If there's any title concerns or deed concerns, this is very important to look at any HOA agreements or zoning. If you have any particular plans for how you're going to use the property, the zoning and the HOA may have control over what you can do or not do with this property. So if you're wanting to have backyard chickens or something like that, then this is the time during due diligence that you're making sure that that's going to be permissible on your property. You'll discuss any of those actions with your agent to make sure that that's investigated before you get to the closing. Step number 10 is to close the transaction. You'll attend the closing and the settlement at a title company here in town. You'll review those final figures and acknowledge and sign the documents. You'll bring funds that are necessary. Remember, we talk about cash to close. When your lender is talking about cash to close, they're talking about how much money you're going to need to bring to the table at closing. And usually if it's over, say, $5,000 or something like that, you're going to need to have it wired from your bank to the title company. Then you'll receive the keys and garage door openers, anything like that, at the closing. The property is yours. Once you have signed the papers, you now own it and you get to move in. Your agent can help you to remember, definitely have utilities switched over to your name, have all utilities in place, have your garbage service in place if you don't live in the city and you don't have taxpayer-provided garbage service. So that's the process. And if I was sitting down with you, I would ask you where you are now in that process. And then I explained that there are two ways to purchase a home. You can buy a home with a realtor to provide professional guidance through all of these steps we just discussed, and also providing you some protection by having a buyer's agent to represent you and negotiate the best price and terms for you on your behalf as the buyer. Another way to purchase a home is without a realtor and without the professional guidance and protection. You can go directly to the listing agent who represents the seller and is legally required to negotiate the best price and terms for the seller on their behalf. And which sounds better to you? Well, a buyer's agent certainly does the things that we've discussed and helps with negotiation, provides professional guidance throughout the entire process, and handles a lot of the tasks, a lot of the things that must happen during the home buying process. A buyer's agent will help you to get those things done. They work behind the scenes in many cases to smooth out rough edges along the way and help with that transaction to make it successful. And as I said earlier, I would like to apply for the job as your buyer's agent. We can go through this process together to help you buy your first home or the next home or the home where you are downsizing and actually need to reduce your obligations and reduce your space so you don't have as much to manage. And again, I have a book. It's called The Complete Guide to Buying a Home. It's a book that I've recently completed, and I offer it to my podcast listeners and their friends for free. If you would like a free copy of my book, then just message me, text me, call me, whatever you need to do. Let me know you want your free copy, and I'll be glad to give it to you. So how can you get in touch with me to ask for your free copy? Well, I'm Blake Watson. I'm an agent with Epique Realty, and my mobile phone is 423-315-1815. You can certainly call me or text me on that phone. And my brokerage office phone is 888-893-3537. You can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn as Blake Watson and on Instagram as Rock and Roll Blake. And you can certainly direct message me with any of those apps. My website is realestatebyblake.com. Now, if you're on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, or any of the other podcast apps, please follow this podcast so you won't miss an episode. There's a follow button. Just click on it, and then you'll be set to receive every episode each week. And I look forward to talking with you next week on Let's Talk Chattanooga Real Estate.